Hello everyone, welcome to Chelsea Sport Focus. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of breaking news. Let's get started.
As Roma and Lyon have opened talks to explore a January move for Chelsea centre-back Axel Disasi, as the Blues continue reshaping their squad during a busy winter transfer window. According to journalist Ben Jacobs, both European clubs have made inquiries about the availability of the French defender, who has become one of Chelsea's most marginalised players this season. Chelsea have been active on multiple fronts in January, working on potential arrivals, while also preparing to offload players who no longer fit into the club's plans. The Blues are currently pushing ahead with negotiations for Rennes defender Jeremy Jacquet, who is believed to have already given his approval for a move to Stamford Bridge. At the same time, the club is assessing several possible departures as it looks to streamline the squad and reduce the number of unused players. Among those facing an uncertain future are Raheem Sterling, Philip Jorgensen, David Dartro Fofana, and Axel Disasi. For Disasi in particular, the situation has become increasingly clear. Signed from AS Monaco in the summer of 2023 for a fee of around 45 million euros, the 27-year-old initially enjoyed a respectable debut season under Mauricio Pochettino. His physical presence, aerial strength, and durability made him a regular option in defence, and at one stage he appeared to be a solid, long-term addition. However, the arrival of Enzo Marresca and a shift in tactical priorities quickly altered Disasi's standing at the club. It soon became evident that he was not viewed as a suitable fit for Maresca's defensive structure, which prioritises mobility, positional flexibility, and comfort in possession. As a result, Disasi slipped further down the pecking order and has not featured for Chelsea's senior side this season. The lack of first-team opportunities has left Disasi in footballing limbo. Despite being fully fit, he has spent much of the campaign without competitive minutes, even turning out for Chelsea's under-21 side in an effort to maintain match sharpness. For a player in his prime years, the situation is far from ideal, and both Chelsea and Disasi are understood to be keen on finding a solution. That has opened the door for interest from abroad. Ben Jacobs revealed on a live stream that AS Roma and Lyon, along with clubs from Saudi Arabia, have made inquiries about Disasi's availability. For Roma, the appeal lies in his experience and physicality, qualities that could strengthen their defensive options during a demanding second half of the season. Lyon, meanwhile, are exploring ways to reinforce their backline and view Disasi as a player who could bring immediate stability and leadership. From Chelsea's perspective, a January exit would make sense. Offloading Disasi would help free up squad space, reduce the wage bill, and potentially generate funds to reinvest elsewhere. While the club is unlikely to recoup the full 45 million euros paid to Monaco, even a partial return would be considered acceptable given his current status. For Disasi himself, a move away from Stamford Bridge could offer a much-needed reset. Regular football at Roma or Lyon would allow him to rebuild confidence and re-establish himself at a high level, something that has been impossible during his time on the fringes at Chelsea. As the January window progresses, all parties appear aligned in their desire to reach an agreement. A transfer would represent a clean break and a fresh start, making it a genuinely win-win outcome. For Chelsea, it would mark another step in refining the squad to match their long-term vision, while for Disasi, it could finally bring an end to a frustrating chapter and reignite his career at a club where he is truly wanted. Chelsea supporters are being urged to move on from the hope of seeing Marc Guéhi return to Stamford Bridge, with confirmation emerging that the defender has already completed his medical tests ahead of a move to Manchester City. For many fans, the news is deeply frustrating. Guéhi was widely viewed as the perfect solution to Chelsea's long-standing defensive problems, a player developed by the club, shaped by its academy, and now established as one of the most composed centre-backs in the Premier League. His decision to join a direct rival raises uncomfortable questions about why Chelsea once again failed to secure a player who seemed destined to come home. The roots of this failure stretch back several years. When Chelsea sold Guéhi earlier in his career, the decision was framed as a necessary sacrifice in a squad overloaded with defensive options. At the time, the club believed experience mattered more than potential, and Guéhi was allowed to leave in search of regular first-team football. What followed was rapid development. Given responsibility and trust, he matured into a leader, improved his positional awareness, and became dominant in both defensive duels and build-up play. By the time Chelsea realised what they had lost, the power dynamic had shifted. Chelsea's recent attempts to re-sign Guehi were reactive rather than decisive. Interest was real, but it lacked clarity and urgency. Negotiations were slow, complicated by internal debates over valuation, wage structure, and long-term planning. While Chelsea were still assessing whether Guehi fit into yet another evolving project, Manchester City acted with conviction. They offered a clear sporting vision, immediate stability, and a defined role under a manager with a proven system. For a player entering his prime, the choice was obvious. Another key factor was trust. Guehi left Chelsea to play football, not to sit on the bench behind expensive signings. Even as the club expressed interest in bringing him back, there were lingering doubts about whether he would be a guaranteed starter or just another name in a crowded squad. Manchester City, by contrast, presented a pathway built on tactical clarity and consistent competition at the highest level. Chelsea's reputation for constant managerial changes and squad overhauls worked against them. Financial strategy also played a role. Chelsea have spent heavily in recent windows, but often without cohesion. The club hesitated to meet the full valuation for Guehi, hoping to negotiate or delay. City did not. They understood the market, recognised the value of a Premier League proven defender entering his peak years, and moved swiftly. In modern football, hesitation is often punished, and Chelsea paid the price. There is also an uncomfortable truth for Chelsea fans to accept. The club has struggled to convince elite or near-elite players that Stamford Bridge is the best place for stability and development right now. Projects have changed, promises have shifted, and players have been asked to buy into long-term visions that keep being reset. Guehi, having already experienced uncertainty at Chelsea once, had little reason to gamble again. For supporters, the disappointment runs deeper because this was not just any transfer. This was a player who understood the club, the culture, and the expectations. A leader Chelsea could have built around for years. Instead, he will now strengthen a rival that already operates at a higher level of consistency and coherence. The failure to re-sign Marc Guehi is a lesson Chelsea cannot afford to ignore. Talent identification alone is not enough. Conviction, timing, and trust matter just as much. Until Chelsea prove they can act decisively, offer stability, and present a clear footballing identity, similar stories will continue to repeat. For now, Chelsea fans must accept the reality. Guehi is gone, the chapter